What's up, guys? I was way more excited to record this podcast yesterday because it wasn't a great night. Pacers game wasn't that much fun. They get ran out of the building, and the Orioles. We'll get to them in a second. But yeah, the first quarter, maybe the first quarter and a couple minutes into the second quarter is going back and forth. Felt like the Pacers came out pretty confident, and we're going to make this a really good game. And then the Thunder blitz them in the second quarter. They get all the way up to 23, and then the Pacers are about to come back like they always do, and they knock it down to 13 real fast off of a timeout. And then I thought the Thunder, where they won the game, it was right there. They called a timeout. Then the Thunder came back, and I believe it was Caruso got 5 straight points. They pushed the lead back up to 18. It stays at, what was it, 19 at halftime. And the Pacers got to figure this out. I imagine they're going to start better at home, but their third quarter is fantastic. Back to back games, they come out, but this time the Thunder's offense in the third quarter was good enough to keep the Pacers at bay. And yeah, this Thunder team, if you've watched them all year, this is exactly how they play. This is why they won all those games where Shea is unbelievable and you can't guard him one on one. So then you start sending the help defense. And Wiggins, from Maryland he was dynamite yesterday. I don't know if he's going to be $100 million player at some point, but he feels like he is a great basketball player. He does everything you need him to do. He just doesn't get a ton of minutes there in Oklahoma City, but I could see him playing 25 to 30 minutes on almost any other team here in the NBA. Just great shot, great ball control, great defense. He was fantastic. Caruso was good. And then the big guys, Hartenstein and Holmgren. The stats might not look great for Hartenstein, but if you're watching the game, I mean, he does everything the right way, just making the extra pass. And Holmgren, I thought, was really good. A lot of big shots for him. And the Pacers just couldn't keep up. I have a feeling that we'll get some, better game from Indiana, obviously, when they're home. But the one thing that the Thunder made an adjustment with that I bashed them for in game one is they let Hartenstein and Holmgren play more together. I mean, they've been doing it all year, and I thought they overcompensated in game one. They still didn't start Hartenstein yesterday, but the Pacers, and my take on the Pacers is their biggest weakness is when you can beat them up inside. And that's what I felt like was happening in the Knicks series when Mitchell Robinson was getting all those rebounds. It's demoralizing. It's harder to run, obviously, right, when you don't get a defensive rebound. So I like the Thunder's bigger lineup against the Pacers. Pacers still made some shots. They got to make more of them. They don't get a lot of easy shots. And that's the thing. Halliburton's got to find a way to get some easier looks. Can't wait for game three, but yeah, feel pretty good that I frankly was able to get go 2-4 last night because 0-6 was staring me at the face as time was winding down. So, yeah, that's that. The Orioles put me in a bad mood before that. Here's the problem with the Orioles. They have no idea, and I just have to assume Elias is making these lineups. I was thinking about it yesterday. There's no way with Elias's career on the line and his, everything's on fire around him and people are calling for his job and he's doing all this media that he'd decide to fire the manager and then just let Mansolino make the lineups. So I would love to know exactly how the lineups are being made, what the conversations are, but yeah, I'm like 99% sure Elias is signing off on it, if not mandating it. So with that in mind, this is what happened this weekend from my perspective. Friday night, they lost the game because they gave Gunner an off day that is just an egregious. There's absolutely no excuse for it. We have an off day today, and I was so angry on Friday when I saw he wasn't in the lineup. I was like, you know what? They'll just win the game and it won't be a big deal. But no, they lose that game. And I was really. Let me get back to Friday here because if you win 3 games in a row against Seattle, plus you won 3 in a row against the White Sox, and you win 6 in a row, and that win on what was it, Thursday against Seattle is, I think it's the best win of the year. If you've been following the Orioles all year, it's like, wow, that felt like the 2023 Orioles. Down 3-1 in the sixth inning. Adley 2-run homer ties it. Gunner back to back, and then the bullpen holds on. Just imagining what that flight was like and the vibes in the locker room, and Gunner gets the game-winning home run, and they all fly together. He's 23 years old, and I don't know how they communicated to him, but they just tell him, we're giving you an off day. It's like, if you're 13 games over 500, maybe he bites his tongue and it is what it is. Let some of the other guys get some at bats. But when you're when it feels like every game's turned into a must win here and you're just trying to get back to 500 and give yourselves an opportunity, you have to understand that it's the wrong time to bench the best player. Like, it just made absolutely no sense. So that's the first problem. But then Gunnar, I'll say single-handedly, but man, Saturday night was one of his best games he's ever had. Just doing absolutely everything, running, throwing guys out, hitting the ball. The slide was, I still don't know how he did that. Just amazing. So we win the game Saturday night. And then, every Orioles fan that is trying to be optimistic is like, we're not going to win every game. Let's just win on Sunday. Let's get 2 out of 3, and then we'll come back home and we'll feel pretty good. And then the lineup comes out, and you're like, yeah, we're going to bench O'Hearn today. You can give him a day. You're just like, we have a day off coming tomorrow, an off day scheduled. Everybody off. If it's a lefty decision, it's going to make me even more angry. This left-hander yesterday, a 7.02 ERA or something to start the game. I thought we were over the lefty splits. When Jackson hit the ball to dead center for the home run the other night, that was kind of like, lefties on our team can also hit lefty pitchers. Let's not make every lineup based on that. And it'd be one thing if Mountcastle was kind of lurking, right? And he's been hitting the ball and been great. And you're like, yeah, we'll give O'Hearn a day. I still don't know if I would have, been okay with that because he's our best hitter right now. And it's not really close. It's not our best player, but he's playing like it. And he's the leader of the clubhouse. And we have an off day. That's the part that I just can't get past, where they're just, and they have all these roster decisions they have to make between Rivera and between Mayo. And then the quotes coming out about Mayo is he's getting all this first base work. They're trying to get him acclimated. So you're like, all right, maybe just DH O'Hearn and let Mayo play first base. But instead they DH Mayo and they throw Rivera at first base. And I really like Emmanuel Rivera, but it just didn't make any sense yesterday. It's the wrong move. It's the wrong move. And I felt it before the game. And then, yeah, it's just one thing after another in that game yesterday. If you really want to break down the game, we can do that. But for me, I'm trying to look at big picture and figure out, why are the vibes off? Like, why can't they get consistency going? And that lineup yesterday was just an embarrassment. You just don't bench O'Hearn. It makes no sense because the players aren't going to buy into it when they have the off day. So it just beyond frustrating. And then I just don't think it's the greatest look in the world when someone like Bowman saves you on Saturday, right? Morton doesn't pitch well. Here we go, same story again. And you're just, as an Orioles fan, you're not in a great mood watching that game on Saturday night. And then Bowman saves it, gives us a chance to get back in the game. And then there's just you just DFA him the next day. And I just don't. It just feels like, I've said this before, that Elias treats this like it's a video game, and there's no emotion involved, there's no feelings, there's no vibes. They just don't seem to quite understand how to get the most out of these players. And I don't want to be so negative. It's Monday morning here, but with all the roster decisions they got to make, they're really stuck because Kjerstad and Mayo, they can't be traded now because you're going to get 30 cents on the dollar. So you go from last year where you're talking about Skubal and Crochet, and you're like, man, can we get one of those guys? You might have to give up Kjerstad and Mayo. No, I'm not giving up either of them. And it's like, now here you are, however many months later, and they don't have value. Like, you're going to get back prospects or a middling reliever. And we don't need a freaking middling reliever as we're 15 games under 500. So there's no value to trade them. Mayo might want to be traded, but Kjerstad's just going to be here. They're going to send him down because they have to send him down. I mean, you can't keep him up here when Carlson's out playing him. And Lorian, I mean, you're just not going to. He can't play in the outfield right now because they insist on switching him from left field to right field, left field. You know what? He's not that great at either one. Maybe he'd be better if he could just play one position and get accustomed to it. But instead, they got him all over the place. Kowser's back, so he's automatically in there. And Mullins is coming back, and he's automatically in there. They're not going to keep Kjerstad on the roster. They're going to send him down to AAA. I'd be surprised if they didn't. And if he tears it up down there, his trade value becomes, 35 cents on the dollar? Like you're just not going to get a lot. And I think he's going to be your starting, outfielder slash DH next year. I think they just want to rebuild his confidence, and that's that. Mayo is a flaming disaster because he can't play third base. He can't play first base. Everybody's blocking him. He's pissed off, and he can't hit. So besides that, he's doing great. I imagine he gets sent down because he's not going to play. Westberg's going to come up, and he's going to take that spot. And when's Mayo going to play? It's if you want to force feed him in there, I guess you can keep him up here if you want, but I don't know. It's just I really felt great going into that going into this weekend. That Seattle series was fun. Now I'm like, yeah, you just go through the guys, and if you don't want to think about it, I get it. But we're only 35 to 40 games here away from all these guys being traded: Kittredge, Eflin, potentially Batista, O'Hearn. Uh, you just keep going down the list, and these guys that are on 1-year deals. Yeah, the Orioles, Elias is going to make the argument to the big boss that let me run it back next year with Basayo and Rutschman and Gunnar and Jackson and Westberg and Kalzer. And those are our guys. And we just had an off year, blah, 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 blah. And they're going to run it back next year. And that's it. This team, they have one more chance here to go on a run, but if they don't go on a significant run, and yesterday just felt like a nail in the coffin to this run that they're trying to put on, because they got a lot of work to do, and it's just a game that you couldn't afford to lose, and it felt like Elias made it a hell of a lot more difficult by not having O'Hearn in the lineup. And yeah, I say Elias because I don't know who I can't imagine Mancelino's making these lineups. All right, well that was pleasant. Yep, there we go. I will be back here in a few days to hopefully spread some good news here. The Pacers are playing the Thunder on Wednesday. I know I don't bet hockey at all, so I feel like unqualified coming on here and talking about it. But if ever hockey is going to overpass, go take over the NBA as far as entertainment, yeah, these Thunder Pacer games are just choppy. It's not that exciting. The game one was exciting at the very end, but both of those games were and the hockey games were amazing. If you watch the hockey game the other night, it's like, and the tennis was good yesterday. It's like but I'm stuck watching baseball and basketball. So there you go. Hopefully you guys had a better day than me. Hopefully you guys have a great day today. And yeah, I'm gonna hop on here. I'm gonna hop on Wednesday or Thursday. Moving in a couple weeks. A lot of things going on in my life, but yeah, I want to get back on here and hopefully get this Pacers Thunder game right on game 3. All right, I'm going to get out of here before I rant any more negativity about the Orioles. But yeah, I can't help it. Like, I was excited to watch the game yesterday. I watched almost every single pitch, and it just sucked. The game sucked yesterday. And there's no reason that O'Hearn wasn't in the lineup. That's my take. Have a great day. Sorry for the negativity first thing in the morning. See you guys.